In the heart of the city, amidst the incessant hum of life, I found myself ensnared in an ever-tightening grip of darkness. The streets I once navigated with ease now seemed alien, whispering secrets through their shadowy veils. My friends, with their easy laughter and dismissive waves, couldn't grasp the depth of my dread. They attributed it to stress, an overworked imagination. But the truth was something darker, something that skulked just beyond the reach of light. The sensation of being watched grew from a mere whisper to a thunderous roar in my ears. It wasn't fleeting. It was a constant, oppressive presence, a gaze that followed my every move. Then, one cold, unsettling night, I saw him, a figure standing at the end of an alley, draped in darkness. My heart lurched in terror, but when I dared to blink, he vanished into thin air. Driven by a mix of fear and desperation, I sought help from Dr. Lorne, a psychiatrist with a reputation for his unorthodox methods. He listened with an air of detached professionalism, his eyes often glancing at the ornate clock on his office wall. "Hallucinations," he concluded with a clinical tone, scribbling a prescription for a cocktail of antipsychotics and tranquilizers. "It's all in your head, Anna," he said, his voice a soothing balm. "Let the medication do its work." But the pills cast me further into the abyss. They shrouded my world in a murky haze, making reality seem distant and warped. The figure, however, didn't fade away. It grew more distinct, more menacing. It began to whisper my name, its voice a chilling caress against the backdrop of the night. Each session with Dr. Lorne saw an increase in my dosage, his words of reassurance sounding more hollow each time. My friends, unable to comprehend the gravity of my terror, gradually distanced themselves. They saw me as a victim of an illness, not the prey of an unimaginable horror. Isolated and adrift in a sea of medication, I felt the shadow inch ever closer. That night, the night that will forever haunt the darkest corners of my memory, I found myself drawn to the alley again. The drugs flowed through my veins like molasses, dulling my senses but sharpening my fear. And there he was, the figure, no longer a mere shadow, but a tangible presence. As he stepped into the dim glow of the streetlight, my blood turned to ice. It was Dr. Lorne, his usually composed features now contorted into a sinister grimace. Panic surged through me, but my limbs were heavy, unresponsive. I was a marionette, and he held the strings. His approach was methodical, almost ritualistic. I wanted to flee, to cry out for help, but my voice was a prisoner in my throat. His hands, which had once written prescriptions to cure me, were now instruments of my undoing. In that moment, the horrifying realization dawned on me. I had been his prey from the beginning. This had been his plan all along. The next morning, the city awoke to the news of a gruesome discovery in a dark alley. The police were confounded. There were no witnesses, no clear suspects. At my funeral, Dr. Lorne delivered a eulogy steeped in sorrow, speaking eloquently about mental health and the tragedies it can spawn. Yet beneath the surface of his composed words lurked a chilling truth. He had manipulated me, exploited my fears, and used my trust to weave a narrative that ensured my cries for help fell on deaf ears. My story now echoes through the city like a spectral warning, a tale of the monsters that don't just dwell in the shadows but sometimes in the places we least expect, in the minds and hearts of those we trust. In my final, terror-filled moments, I understood a truth more haunting than any shadow. The deepest, most perilous darkness resides not in the hidden corners of our world, but in the human soul. Craving more chills and mind-bending mysteries? Hit subscribe and join us on this dark journey through thriller and true crime stories.